Now, I'm pretty keen on carpentry, and I've got to be because I'm currently renovating my own farm cottage, as well as being mad keen on bikes, as we all know. Now, something that happens when you've got lots of bikes is they have a tendency to lie up against one another, and they get scratched, rear derailleurs get knocked out of place, and you get all sorts of troubles caused by that. So today, let's build a bike storage stand. Now, we are going to need some equipment, of course. So first of all, we're going to use some timber as well as a saw. You don't necessarily need something quite as big as this, as well as an electric screwdriver. Again, you can use a handheld one, a manual one, but this one is going to make it just a little bit easier. As well as a tape measure, a pencil, and importantly, some screws. Oh, and don't forget the safety specs. The size of the bike stand totally depends on your own requirements. So personally, what I'm going to be building today is a stand suitable for 3 road bikes. So they're going to have enough breathing room to fit 3 bikes with 42cm handlebars and 700C wheels. If you want to see the sizes of timber that I'm using, you can find the information for that down there in the description below. Right, firstly, I'm going to start by making my end board. So I've got a pretty long bit of wood here, 2.4 meters long, so I'm going to cut it dead center, but don't worry, you'll start to see this jigsaw come into shape pretty soon. Next up, I'm going to start constructing the wheel support. So at this point, it's probably not that clear actually how this bike stand is going to work. Well, it's actually going to work by holding each individual wheel in place so the bike doesn't fall over. So for this, I'm going to need 6 individual bits to help that rack start to work. So I've actually calculated that 500mm in length is going to be just about right for 700C wheels. Then the height, well, about 9cm high. I could go a little bit higher if I wanted to, but I don't actually want the rack to be that heavy, because if I'm going to start moving it around and stuff, I don't have the biggest of arms to actually deal with that. So I'm going to mark up 6 lengths of 500mm timber here, and remember it's the 9cm depth one. And then once I've chopped it up, we're going to make it look a bit more aesthetically pleasing where it actually matches up with the end boards. Because we've got a chop saw with us, it seems rude not to use it. Now I've got my 6 wheel supports chopped up, hopefully you can start to see how it's going to take place. So this is the end board here for the support of the actual frame, and then here, this is where you're going to put your wheel in between so the bike stands up. There is a blazingly obvious difference in the heights of wood, but with a good reason. I want the wheel to be supported nicely from the sides, but what I'm going to do is actually take out some material here to a point about 100mm along, so that's 26mm difference. Just going to taper that off just to make it a little bit nicer to look at. Of course, if you're really good with a saw, you could even, well, possibly curve that there too, but I'm not that good with a saw. Point to point, it should be fairly easy. Sadly, I can only cut up to a 45-degree angle, otherwise I would be all over this, but fingers crossed. Hopefully I don't lose the fingers. Yeah. Looks good to me. See what I'm doing? It's coming together nicely. Just 5 more to go. So I've got my 6 wheel supports now all done, and well, I've got a big pile of sawdust too, so the hamster at home will be nice and happy. Now all I need to do is mark up on one of my end boards exactly where these wheel supports are going to go. So I'm definitely going to put one on the end to be able to create the frame, and then 4 centimeters along, so 40mm, I'm going to put the other one. The reason being, I don't have any bikes at home with tyres wider than that. Of course, if you do, you're going to want to have a bigger gap there. If I do use my cycling cyclocross bike, decide to put it in here, that's got tyres of 35mm wide. That will fit in there okay. Even if I got them pumped up really hard, let a bit of air out and it will go in there absolutely fine. I'm going to repeat that on the other end, exactly the same, and then I'm going to find the centremost part of this, so it's going to be 60 centimetres, then measure 2 centimetres either side, and that's going to give me my position for the central wheel supports. So what we'll do now is we're just going to literally mirror those measurements or those lines onto the other end board, so it's nice and simple when it comes to attaching those wheel supports in place. So depending on what facilities you have, either at your workshop or in your own home or at your place of work, in my case, depends on how easy this step is going to be. So I've rested one bit of timber here, the end board, up on this chop saw, and I've actually started to thread the screw in separately, so I'm not having to do all the, well, hold 3 things at once essentially. So I've got that there, nicely lined up square. If you have got a big old clamp, this is going to make it much easier, but you want to make it nice and square, and then simply let, hopefully, an electric screwdriver do all the hard work for you. As you can see there, the actual screwdriver bit did start to slip a little bit, but don't worry, if you're using a decent screwdriver bit and also decent screws, you won't round anything off. Essentially, you want the main frame structure to start taking place, then you can really torque these up a little bit tighter so it's nice and stable. Oh, the jigsaw is coming together. Can you see what it is yet? Yeah, that's right, we're nearly there. We've just got to put this last little end board on and then we'll go and put some bikes in it. Not bad, is it? For a few bits of timber. Nice. So I'm just going to torque up all of the screws now so they're all nice and tight in there, and we'll go and test it out. Something you may want to consider doing as well is possibly sanding it down just to get rid of any rough edges, something like that. And maybe add some wood stain too to help preserve this wood, particularly if you ride in wet places and you put a wet bike in there at the end of your ride. Right, I suppose we better find ourselves some road bikes with 700C wheels to try this one out. There we are, 3 bikes racked up, ready to ride, and they're not going to get scratched, they're not going to get bashed on their rear mechs, which is always good news, isn't it? Let me know what you think of it down there in the comment section below. Also, what would you like me to make next? Get involved in the comments section. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Give it a big old thumbs up. And now for another great video, this time Dan Lloyd making his very own chain whip. Yes, that's right, a chain whip. Click just down here.